Hello, welcome to this update. So, for the severe weather in the U.S. and Canada, so let's see first uh, related to Tropical Storm Debby. So it's still there, just offshore of South Carolina, the center there, and expected to go into South Carolina as a tropical storm again, and then turn by Thursday a tropical depression into North Carolina and Virginia, and then become extra tropical and head to the northeast. So let's see here. The rainfall potential is still some 8 to 12 inches in parts of North Carolina and South Carolina, and some 6 to 8 inches in other areas of South Carolina and Virginia and North Carolina. And even some foothills in Virginia could have some 8 to 12 inches, so be aware there. In the northeast, some 2 to 4 inches throughout the northeast, and 4 to 6 inches in other areas in yellow. So let's see. The wind speed, let's see, probabilities is still 100% there because it's still a tropical storm. So in South Carolina, and then already North Carolina and other South Carolina, some 50% of tropical storm force winds, and then they have a 5 to 10% in northern Canada too. That's very far from where the storm is now, but there could be some tropical storm force winds there too later. Hurricane force winds, nothing. And the 50 knot wind probabilities is very high in the ocean, but a little bit less along the coast. So 58 miles per hour is like 40 to 50% there on the coast of South Carolina, and 5 to 10% in North Carolina. So let's see some key messages still. Heavy rainfall across parts of the Carolinas expected to persist through Thursday, along with areas of considerable flooding. Expect heavy rainfall also result in considerable flooding across the mid-Atlantic states and northeast through Saturday morning. Tropical storm conditions will affect parts of South Carolina and North Carolina coast through Thursday. Tropical storm warnings and watches are in effect for those areas. Coastal flood warnings due to storm surge likely along parts of South Carolina, North Carolina through Thursday. So be careful there. And there are still some tropical storm warnings and tropical storm watches there on the coast. And the storm surge is 1 to 3 feet in those areas, still possible, and 1 to 2 feet, so be aware. Let's see. Now, the severe weather associated with this is still a marginal there for today for tornadoes. So just 2% tornado threat with Debby, mainly North Carolina, but South Carolina too. So be aware there. Wind nothing for there, and hail nothing, just tornado threat there. So be aware. Let's see here. Yeah, so let's see for tomorrow if there's still something for this. So there's a slight risk tomorrow through North Carolina and southern Virginia, and a marginal too. So wind threat less than 5% for that, hail as well. So basically all of this is a tornado threat tomorrow. So higher tornado potential tomorrow for North Carolina and Virginia. So be aware in those areas there. And rest is general risk of thunderstorms. So let's see if day 3, there's still a marginal risk for day 3 there in the northeast, probably for tornado potential too. So be aware. So there's Debby there. And this is her. It goes into South Carolina there, and some more rain bands in those areas. Let's see some more heavy rain through North Carolina, especially. Let's see. This is the H-Wharf. There's tropical storm Debby, goes into South Carolina's tropical storm, and then all the heavy rain, especially North Carolina, and then it moves north into Virginia. There's some more storms and heavy rains, West Virginia into Pennsylvania, New York, and the northeast there as the remnants dissipate. Then it eventually dies pretty much and goes off of Canada there. So let's see what else. This is the European model. It has Debby there going to South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and into the northeast. So be aware in those areas. Let's see, precipitation for day 1 today is still more than 5 inches in parts of North and South Carolina there possibly, so please be careful there. For tomorrow, still some 4 to 5 inches in some areas there, North Carolina and Virginia especially, and even there can be up to 6 inches in those oranges. Day 3, still in the northeast, like 2 to 5 inches, parts of the northeast into Canada. Day 4, most of it is gone. Yeah, and this is mainly it. So let's see. Excessive rainfall is still a high risk today in South and North Carolina there, mainly because of all the flooding that has already happened, and more rain, more flooding. So, but please be careful, there's still a 70% chance or higher of exceeding flash flood guidance. So please be careful there. There's a moderate risk in North and South Carolina around it, and a marginal from Georgia to Virginia, and another marginal in parts of Delaware, New Jersey, Maryland, and other areas for some storms. So tomorrow there's still a high risk tomorrow. So it has been like 5 days of high risk in a row. This is crazy. So mainly North Carolina, but South Carolina a little bit too, and a moderate risk all the way to southern Virginia there. So let's see, a marginal all the way down to Florida, to Maine, and a slight there. So please be careful tomorrow in North Carolina and South Carolina. There's still a high risk of flooding. Day 3, there's just a moderate for the remnants as they go into Pennsylvania, New York, and Vermont, and the other areas there. And there's still a slight from South Carolina to Maine. So be careful. Day 4, this is mostly gone. Just a marginal is left in the northeast. Day 5, nothing. Just another marginal down there. So let's see something else. So in the next 5 days, the European has, let's see, it has around some 6 inches in North Carolina, 7 inches, 6 inches. Let's see, some 6 inches, 7 inches, 6 inches, 5 inches, and Virginia around some 4 to 5 inches, and some areas could be higher there. Let's see, Pennsylvania, it has some 6 inches, 5 inches, 4 inches, some areas of Maryland a little bit more. New York, there's some 4 to 5 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches. Yeah, so be aware. And this is now the GFS. The GFS has for North Carolina about 6 inches, 4 inches, so some other areas 5 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches there. So it has a little bit less than the European, but still some 6 inches there. It has a little bit less in Virginia, but I think that there will be more in those mountains of Virginia, some in West Virginia too, Pennsylvania, and then it has more from New York there, and northern Pennsylvania, some 4 inches there. So yeah, be aware those areas. Let's see, and still some strong winds from the system. So it is still showing like there, as this comes ashore, the worst winds like in the coast of North Carolina, close to, let's see, this in miles per hour. So close to 60 miles per hour near the coast of North Carolina possibly, and then some other areas in North Carolina more than 50 miles per hour, 47 miles per hour, South Carolina, and this is just one model. Some other models could have a stronger or weaker. So this is the GFS. It has way less wings than the European, and the Icon has a similar thing there. So let's see, it has about in the coast some 50 miles per hour winds, maybe a little bit more. So yeah, and not areas of South Carolina too. So be careful in those areas there. So let's see now the severe weather for the rest of the country. So this has just been updated now as I speak. So there's still the marginal risk for tornadoes there because of Debby, and now they have a slight risk for parts of southwestern Nebraska, Kansas, northeastern Colorado, and southeastern Wyoming. So tornado threat, nothing out. A wind threat 15% and 5%, so this is mainly a wind event. And hail, a smaller 15% there in Nebraska, Colorado, and Wyoming, and a bigger 5%. So be aware there, and general risk of thunderstorms too. Strong severe thunderstorms capable of producing damaging wind gusts possible across central high plains this afternoon and evening. A few tornadoes remain possible today and tonight across coastal Carolinas. So be aware in those areas. Let's see some more stuff. So this afternoon we see those showers popping in Utah, in Colorado, some showers, then some storms in northeastern Colorado start, southeastern Wyoming, and the HER shows is stronger in Nebraska, some stronger storms in southwestern Nebraska going to Kansas, and they remain strong there in Kansas and Nebraska until tonight. So let's say this is 4Z Thursday, so this already like tonight, some storms remain until tomorrow morning, but definitely be aware this afternoon in northeastern Colorado, western Nebraska, and maybe southeastern Wyoming. So yeah, let's see, it shows a storm or two in Minnesota, possibly some more showers in Montana, maybe a storm or two. Let's see, shows Debby there, the rain bands, maybe a storm or two in Florida and the Bahamas, some storms in Mexico, a storm or two in Arizona, and let's see for tomorrow. So tomorrow is the slight risk there. I showed you for Debby because of the tornado risk, and the rest is just general risk of thunderstorms in some areas. For day 3, there's only the marginal risk there for Debby. I already showed you. So let's see. Day 4 through 8, there's nothing yet, and the fire threat is, let's see, is isolated dry thunderstorm risk possible in parts of Utah, southern Wyoming and Colorado, and elevated fire risk in southern Idaho. So be aware, some dry thunderstorms possible. And tomorrow still some isolated dry thunderstorms from Utah, Wyoming and Colorado. So be aware there. Let's see the excessive rainfall in the other areas of the country. So there's Debby. And let's see, today there's that marginal from Southern California to Nebraska, including Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, parts of Kansas, Wyoming and Utah, so be aware. Let's see, day 2, there's a slight in Colorado and New Mexico for some more showers and storms there in the afternoon, and then this marginal from Arizona to southernmost Montana and parts of the plains. Day 3, for Friday, another slight in Colorado and New Mexico, and the marginal in those areas there from Arizona to Montana, and the moderate risk from Debby there. For Saturday, there's a marginal in Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas, and another marginal from Arizona to Nebraska. Day 5, Sunday, there's a marginal in southern Arizona, marginal in parts of northern Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and Wyoming, and a marginal from Texas to Missouri, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, and Kansas. So be aware, and another marginal in North and South Carolina there. So be aware. Precipitation, I showed you Debby. Let's see, there's also some more rain across Minnesota, parts of the plains today from the storms. Tomorrow, more in Ontario there. Some more in parts of New Mexico, Colorado, and Arizona. And Friday, there's more in the west, like Oklahoma, Texas, Colorado, Kansas, and Arizona, and New Mexico. So, and still from Debby there. Let's see, day 4, Sunday, that there's still more rain, some storms in Oklahoma, Kansas, more areas of the plains and the Rockies. Day 5, still in Arkansas, no, that's Missouri, some more rain. Kansas, let's see, parts of the west. Day 6, next Tuesday, more rain across the plains and parts of the Rockies. Day 7, more rain across Missouri and Illinois, and even South Carolina, some more in some areas there. So days 1 through 7 shows a lot in Missouri, in Colorado, New Mexico, Kansas, Oklahoma, more those areas, and a lot there in North Carolina, South Carolina, going to the northeast from Debby and southern Canada. So be aware in those areas. Let's see something else. So the heat risk is still extreme in the south today. Lots of majors through the south and other areas. Southwest as well, some extremes and majors. Tomorrow, still some moderates, extremes, maybe a major in the southwest, parts of the west. Some extremes in the south still and some majors. Friday, there are still extremes in the south, some moderates further north, majors, more moderates in the southwest. Saturday, more extremes in Texas, Louisiana, southern Mississippi, Florida, more moderates and majors, moderates in the southwest. Sunday, more majors in Texas, some extremes in Louisiana and Texas, some moderates. Let's see, next Monday, more extremes in Texas, New Mexico, Louisiana, and more majors. Tuesday, more extremes in Texas, Louisiana, New Mexico, some more moderates other areas. So be careful there. The maximum temperatures for today shows 106 in Texas, 105 to the hundreds, 100s in the south, 90s in the southeast, shows 100s on the southwest. For tomorrow, shows still some 100s on the plains, more 100s on the southwest, some 90s on the west, 90s in the southeast, some 70s further north. For Friday, shows still some 90s on the west, some 100s on the southwest, more 100s on the plains, some 90s on the south. Let's see for Saturday, more 100s on the southwest, some 90s, still 100s in Texas, some 90s in the south and southeast. Let's see for Sunday, still shows some 100s on the southwest, 100s in Texas, New Mexico, 90s in the south. Let's see for next Monday, still shows 100s in the southern plains, 90s on the southwest, 100s on the southwest, and some 90s on the southeast. For next next Tuesday, more 100s in Texas, New Mexico, some 90s in other areas, 100s on the southwest. So be careful there. In the 24-hour max wind gusts for today, Wednesday, August 7th, so valid until August 8th at 12 p.m. Shows windier in those Rockies of Wyoming, some windier gusts in parts of California, parts of the plains a little bit windier, and of course there in South Carolina, North Carolina from the storm. So let's see the hazards. This change all the time, but there's still a lot of flood watches through Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. Lots of flood advisories, river flood warnings in Florida, more flood there. Let's see heat advisories in the south, some heat warnings in California, air quality and wildfire danger advisories in the west, including the red flag warnings, a heat advisory, even a red flag warning in Alaska, and some wind advisories. So let's see here. something else. So this is like the river conditions on the U.S. Green is kind of fine, yellow is like minor flood, and red is like flood, and purple is major flood stage. So you can see these rivers in Florida there, some flood warnings, and there are some major flood conditions in those rivers there, in those areas. So be careful there in those areas. Some other rivers and creeks in other areas with a flood or two. And let's see now for Canada, we have some minor storms possible in parts of the prairies, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta. This is for today. Tomorrow still shows a storm, some storms there possible, and tonight not much, mainly tomorrow. The Northwestern Territories, not much storms. Let's see, in Ontario, some thunderstorms possible in Western Ontario, like North Central Ontario today. Tomorrow still some storms possible, and after tomorrow even some more. Quebec shows this Tuesday, so today shows maybe a storm or two in southwestern Quebec. Let's see. British Columbia shows some storms possible in the south, some minor thunderstorms. Let's see. And the forecast here says, let's see, general risk of thunderstorms in parts of Alberta there, and British Columbia, like along the foothills in parts of southern Saskatchewan, and some storms in Manitoba, Western Ontario, and parts of Saskatchewan there. So be aware. And we still have the heat warnings, and in parts of Yukon, the Northwestern Territories, some above normal temperatures, and some areas 26 to 33 degrees there. So be aware those higher temperatures. And let's see here some other stuff. So if there's any other warning here, so it's basically the heat warnings there. The heat warnings. Let's see. We will still have some air quality advisories in Saskatchewan for the smoke of the wildfires. Let's see, some air quality statements in British Columbia, some air quality statement there too. Heat warnings in parts of British Columbia. There the heat warnings and advisories for above normal temperatures. In Quebec, there's a special weather statement on Friday and Saturday for Debby that will approach parts of Eastern Canada. So we'll talk more about that now. So some 50 millimeters, heavy rain at times by Friday. So let's see here what is forecasted. So North America. Okay, so let's first look at Eastern Canada. So we have that trough there, parts of Western Ontario, Manitoba, bringing the storms today. Still some storms tomorrow there. And then by Friday, still some storms, and you can see Debby coming. Those things coming from the U.S. are the remnants of Debby. Some storms and heavy rain starting southern Quebec and southern Ontario. By Friday, more rain through southern Quebec moves in, and that low pressure is Debby there. The remnants of Debby moving right between Friday and Saturday there. And then the European model moves some very heavy rain through southern Quebec, central Quebec going to Atlantic Canada. So this is by the end of Saturday. This moves further north into Quebec, the remnants of Debby. Some affect Newfoundland and Labrador, and then this keeps going. By Sunday it loses some strength and goes out there. So be aware, some heavy rains, maybe some floods possible in some flood prone areas there between Friday and Saturday from the remnants of Debby. And then there's this upper low there in Ontario that might bring some colder temperatures later. So if now the temperatures are mild there in the 20s degrees, later it might be like 15, 16 degrees. So this is today. This afternoon, very mild and low humidity. Some 20s there, some 22 in southern Saskatchewan, some other areas, Howe in British Columbia. And let's see, but later, by Saturday, you can see this upper low there, and then it moves a little bit cooler temperatures. So this is during the day, yeah. So yeah, nothing crazy. Just be aware there. And rainfall, let's see here. So the GFS also has the remnants of Debby there coming to Ontario and Quebec, but the GFS is a little bit further east. It goes to southern Quebec there, and Atlantic Canada, and the other storms there for Saturday and Sunday. So, but be aware in all of those areas. So the rainfall accumulation from those storms in Ontario, Manitoba, and then as Debby comes in by Friday, you see that those rain totals climb, and then it shows like this is in inches or millimeters. So this is inches. I'll show you millimeters soon. So it shows some like some 3 inches to 4 inches in parts of southern Ontario and Quebec. So let's see here in millimeters next 5 days. So this is the GFS. No, this is the icon. It has for southern Quebec more than 100 millimeters there because of Debby by Friday and Saturday. Let's see. So let's see the European. It has a little bit less, around 60 millimeters, 90, 100 millimeters in some areas, and more in further north as this moves north. And next 10 days, not much change. So the European has a little bit less, and the GFS has a little bit more in southern Quebec and Ontario there, especially southern Quebec. So be aware by Friday and Saturday, and this is mainly it. And today, some accumulations from the storms there, and in the foothills of Alberta and British Columbia. And this is mainly it. Stay safe.